Hello, and welcome to Storytime with Thisbe. Tonight, I'm going to be reading one of the tales of Beetle, the Bard, by J.K. Rowling. Now, this story does not have any pictures, so I'm going to need you to sit back, close your eyes, and use your imagination to make your own pictures. The story that we're going to start with is The Wizard and the Hopping Pot. There's a lot of introduction to get through, pardon me. And a footnote. And an author's note. Okay, we're there. The Wizard and the Hopping Pot. There was once a kindly old wizard who used his magic generously and wisely for the benefit of his neighbors. Rather than reveal the true source of his powers, he pretended that his potions, charms, and antidotes sprang readily made from the little cauldron he called his lucky cooking pot. From miles around, people came to see him with their ailments and their struggles, and the wizard was pleased to give his pot a stir and put things right. This well-beloved wizard lived to a goodly old age, and then died, leaving all of his chattels to the only son. This son was of a very different disposition than his gentle father had been. Those who could not work magic were, in the son's mind, worthless, and he had often quarreled with his father's habit of dispensing magical aid to his neighbors. Upon the father's death, the son found hidden inside the old cooking pot a small package bearing his name. He opened it, hoping for gold, but found instead a soft, thick slipper, much too small to wear, and with no pair. A fragment of parchment within the slipper bore the words, "In the fond hope, my son, that you will never need it." The son cursed his father's age and his softened mind, then threw the slipper back into the cauldron, resolving to use it henceforth as a rubbish pail. That very night, a peasant woman knocked on the door. "My granddaughter is afflicted by a crop of warts, sir," she told him. "Your father used to mix his special poultice in that old cooking pot and—" "Begone!" cried the son. "What care I for your brat's warts?" And he slammed the door in the old woman's face. At once there came a loud clanging and banging from his kitchen. The wizard lit his wand and opening the door, and there, to his amazement, he saw his father's old cooking pot. It had sprouted a single foot of brass, and there, hopping on the spot in the middle of the floor, making a fearful noise upon its flagstones, the wizard approached in wonder, but fell back hurriedly when he saw that the whole of the pot's surface was covered in horrible warts. "Disgusting object!" he cried, and he tried fiercely to vanish the pot, then to clean it by magic, and finally to force it out of the house. None of his spells worked, however, and he was unable to prevent the pot from hopping after him out of the kitchen, and then following him up the stairs, clanging and banging loudly on every wooden stair. The wizard could not sleep all night for the banging of the warty old pot by his bedside, and next morning the pot insisted upon hopping after him to the breakfast table. Clang, 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 went the brass-footed pot, and the wizard had not even started his porridge when there came another knock at the door. An old man stood on the doorstep. "'Tis my old donkey, sir," he exclaimed. "Lost she is, or stolen, and without her I cannot take my wares to market, and my family will go hungry." "Well, I am hungry now," roared the wizard, and he slammed the door upon the old man. Clang, clang, clang went the cracking pot, single brass foot upon the floor. But now its clamor was mixed with the brays of a donkey and human groans of hunger echoing from the depths of the pot. "Be still, be silent!" shrieked the wizard. But not all of his magical powers could quiet the warty pot, which hopped on its heels all day, braying and groaning and clanging, no matter where he went or what he did. That evening there came a third knock upon the door, and there on the threshold stood a young woman, sobbing as if her heart was breaking. "My baby is grievously ill," she said. "Won't you please help me? Your father bade me to come if I was—" But she was left wanting. The wizard slammed the door on her. And now the tormenting pot filled to the brim with salt water and slopped tears all over the floor as it hopped and brayed and groaned and sprouted more and more warts. Though no more villagers came to seek help at the wizard's cottage for the rest of the week, the pot kept him informed of their many ills. Within a few days, it was not just braying and groaning and slopping and hopping and sprouting warts. It was also choking and retching and crying like a baby and whining like a dog and spewing out bad cheese and sour milk and a plague of hungry slugs. The wizard could not sleep or eat with the pot beside him, but the pot refused to leave, and he would not silence it or force it to be still, no matter what he tried. At last, the wizard could bear it no longer. "Bring me all your problems, all your troubles and your woes," he screamed, fleeing into the village, with the pot hopping behind him along the road. "Come, let me cure you, mend you, comfort you. I have my father's cooking pot, and I shall make you well." And with the foul pot still bounding along beside him, he ran up the street, casting spells in every direction. Inside one house, the little girl's warts vanished as she slept. The donkey was summoned from a distant briar patch and set down softly in its stable, and the sick baby was doused in dittany and woke, well and rosy. At every house of sickness and sorrow, the wizard did his best, and gradually the cooking pot beside him stopped groaning and stopped retching and became quiet, shiny and clean. "Well, pot?" asked the trembling wizard as the sun began to rise. The pot burped out a single slipper he had thrown into it and permitted him to fit it on his brass foot. Together they set off back to the wizard's house, the pot's footstep muffled at last. But from that day forward, the wizard helped the villagers like his father before him, lest the pot cast off its slipper and begin to hop once more. Thank you.